Hey chess lovers and friends, welcome back to Casper Chess. Today I've put together a special collection of my favorite videos of how to crash the queen's pawn game using the Polish defense. I noticed that many of you might have missed some of these amazing gems, so I have organized them all in one place for easy access. Stay tuned and enjoy. The Polish defense. With this move, you are going to stop most Queen's Gambit players. For example, if c4, you can just take. That will just be a free pawn and you'll be up a pawn for the rest of the game. In most cases, white plays pawn to e4. They go back to the e4 opening, and this is where you can play bishop b7, telling your opponent that take my useless flank pawn and I will take your important central pawn. In chess, central pawns really matter. But you see, what I like doing in bullet and blitz most of the times is just playing knight f6, attacking this pawn like that. Even though this is dubious, say if white plays pawn to e5, you simply go knight d5, transposing the game back to the allies' defense without your opponents even realizing it. Point is, if they take on b5, what appeared to be a free pawn, you give them another pawn. This is called the Osulivan Gambit, allies' defense. Point is, if they take your second pawn, now you have queen a5 check, and you might win that bishop like this after pawn takes and queen takes b5. Pop. The Polish defense can be very awesome and deceiving. Most people don't know how to play against this, so just play pawn to b5 to confuse them and bishop b7 in a rated tournament. And if bishop d3, you don't go pawn to f5 like an amateur. No, again, you can play pawn to c5 here. That's the beauty, because if pawn takes, you simply have e6 and you're going to get back that pawn whether white likes it or not. Moves like pawn to b4 mean nothing due to pawn to a5. If they continue trying to defend that, you just take pop and then go queen f6. You'll probably win a free piece. Look at that, free bishop or free knight. So that's another trap that is found in the Polish defense. You can rely on this pawn to c5 move all the time. If white plays bishop d3, just go c5. That's okay. You don't even need to play knight f6. They are used to these things. Before I play a game, let me just cement something here. Again, after pawn to c5, if white continues with c3, you can play c4. It's not much of a stretch, but what I recommend is just to go e6, fast development. After knight f3, this is when you can go c4. If bishop c2, you go knight f6, double attacking this pawn. They play pawn to e5 most of the times. And now you go knight d5, kind of the allies' defense or the improved French. If you think about it, they may play knight bd2, but you have moves like bishop e7, queen c7, castle shot, h6, even pawn to d6 here works. Like I would play this move any day, anytime. Point is, I just want to take, for example, if they castle shot, I add more sword to the wound, say rook e1, add more sword to the wound, still pressurizing the e5 pawn. And maybe this time if they take, I'm happy because I take back with tempo. And probably on the next move, play bishop e7. After something, I go h6. If queen h5, just an example, I even castle shot. This is safe for me. It looks like there's something going on the king side, but nope. The knight is just under attack if you think about it. If you don't believe me, let's just say h4 is played. Even though the best move is to play knight 5 f6 in this position, I'll just take. Yeah, like h takes g5 works because there's just nothing going on. Once again, if this hopping to checkmate, this is where you play knight 7 f6, stopping the checkmate and also attacking the queen. The queen must go back probably to e2, and then you continue playing normal chess. Bishop d6, there's just nothing going on there. Open up the position, involve your other rooks. Play bishop a4 maybe to stop everything and take back with your queen or your knight. Anyway, here's another secret, you guys. For those of you who like playing the Caro-Kann advanced variation, you can also achieve that in our simple defense. Let me show you. After white plays d4, you go c6, c4, b5, and let's just say white plays pawn to e3, you take, and then bishop takes, then you go d5, and bishop d3. If you don't want to play the semi-Slav structure with the immediate pawn to e6, go knight to f6 first, and this is when you're going to see your opponents playing knight to f3, the top played move in the Lichess database, and only then do you develop your light squared bishop like this. How cool is that, you guys? In the normal queen's pawn game, we avoid developing our light squared bishop early because it leaves our b7 pawn weak. For example, white usually plays queen b3 once you move your light squared bishop, attacking the undefended pawn and also targeting the d5 pawn. But Note in this case, you don't have a weak pawn on b7 and your d5 pawn is well defended. So this can also be thought of as an improved Caro-Kann defense. With this new Polish strategy, we are trying to introduce a whole new game that will take most d4 players out of their comfort zone. Period. There are times on white to try to stick to the actual queen's pawn game that they know instead of going e4. For example, after d4, c6, c4, or knight to f3, that will still come. You go pawn to b5, cb, cb, and then instead of playing pawn to e4, they just go knight to f3 just to avoid things. So sticking to your plan, you can still go bishop b7, but even knight to f6 is not much of a stretch. So let's just say bishop b7, and then they play pawn to e3 because that's what they like doing, simply attacking your pawn. Well, in these kinds of lines, though a6 is playable, I like gaining more central space with a move pawn to b4. Period. Just stopping knight c3 or knight a3 somehow, and just in case white plays a3, you simply go pawn to e6. Don't complicate stuff. Let them take, you take back, and this is when they play knight c3. If bishop d2, you just exchange bishops and continue developing. But the thing is, you just continue developing towards the center of the board. And let's say after bishop d3, you can simply cast a shot. And let's say they cast a shot as well. Since there's nothing that is happening on the king side, and I mean, there's nothing that you can literally do on this side of the board, you try to buy time on the other side of the board. The other move that doesn't look cool, but still playable is pawn to d5, by the way, even if your light squared bishop is behind. Why? Because you have intentions to go knight e4 and replace your pawn on e4, supported by your light squared bishop. This is very much playable, by the way. The idea is not to checkmate an opponent very quickly, but just to have a balanced game. If queen c2 is played, feel free to take. If queen e2, for example, this is where you can even play pawn to d5, period. That's what I was talking about. And this makes a lot of sense, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see how that works. Let's say bishop d2, because what else? Just making some moves. Now you go knight e4. You see what I was talking about. The game is still equal. If they take, that'll be a blunder because you can simply take back with your pawn and fork these two pieces. Bishop takes doesn't do a thing because your capture comes with an attack on the queen, so white has to attend to that, and then you take that free bishop. So they are not going to do that. And so after knight e4, it's not a good idea for white to take. But let's say white takes with a bishop. How about that? Because they didn't like that pressure. Again, you can just take back. Yep. So the goal is to support this pawn with your light squared bishop. In the near future, you intend to go f5, then f4. Just destroy the king side completely. You put your light squared bishop on d5, by the way. That's the whole idea of bishop b7, pawn to d5, and knight e4. You simply want to replace your d5 pawn with your light squared bishop, period. So again, this is for typical d4 players who try to solidify things. And after pawn to b5, there are people who won't just take this. They'll try as much as possible to complicate stuff. For example, you may see them move pawn to e3 here, but you can just take, allowing them to take. And then you now go back to your semi-Slav ideas where you put your center pawns on light squares, creating this little triangle. And by the way, this will now be an improved semi-Slav in that it'll be easier for you to develop your light squared bishop as well as your queen's knight. Now, let me show you one brilliant way of fighting this knight here. Remember, this knight is usually defended by the d pawn. So the secret here is to go c5 whenever you see this. Given a chance, by the way, to make the e5 square weaker. For example, they can go pawn to f4, it doesn't matter, and then you can take. That's all. So cd is okay. Let them take. This doesn't just look to be right. You can even play knight bd7 here, trying to fight this. Knight bd7, then go queen b6. So let's say bishop e3, then you go bishop b7. Again, why putting your light squared bishop behind your d pawn? There is this idea that we want to play. Let's say rook c1, then you go knight e4. This is a very brilliant idea, guys. Next, you just want to play pawn to f5, given a chance, or take. If knight takes, well and good. Let's say bishop b5. Now you go knight to f6 because you have a possibility to put your knight on d5 and continue playing chess. I intend to do something like this against any random opponent on chess, and let's hope that's how the game will go. Right. By the way you support this channel is by joining one of our membership tiers on Patreon, or simply buying my courses at www.kasperchess.com or on my Patreon page. That really helps. Here we have a game, pawn to d4 on the first move. Why can't I play? Oh, this time let me try the Polish defense. My Opponent just blazed out c4, so that's just a free pawn. This is what you do to people who like pre-moving anyhow, auto pre-movers. Now let me take my time here. Should I give them that pawn or just hold? Should I hold on to my extra pawn? Let me go bishop b7 here, so that if white takes, okay, they've done the right thing, not taking. I think I can hold on to my pawn like this. That's just an extra pawn. This is how you punish pre-movers. So pawn to b3. If I take, I'm just going to be up a pawn for good, I guess. But you see, CB only allows white to activate their queen somehow. So why can't I just develop my bishop to b4? Because that comes with a clean attack. It's a pin. Bishop b2. I think let me take here on f4. And now we see bishop takes c4. This is too late, I guess. I can just develop my knight. Nothing much to do. Nothing going on. NGO. That's the version of NGO according to me. It just means nothing going on. Don't take that serious. I'm just joking. Although I meant what I said. Anyway, a3, bishop takes and castle shot. Nothing much going on. Once again. Why am I like this? Knight c6. Point is, I just want to take this other pawn. By the way, I'm still up a pawn with this move, knight takes. This is exactly how you punish pre-movers. Let's hold on to my knight. I'm not giving up any material. Besides, I should have taken here. My opponent is playing so fast while they are making zero moves. Or maybe they are just frustrated. Or they are trying to win on time. By the way, I can take on g2 now. They are losing the rook. Yeah, at this point, my opponent is just... Anyway, so that was the Polish defense for you guys. This is another weapon you can use to surprise d4 players, especially those who just like playing the Queen's Gambit all the time, like the way my opponent showed in this game. He's a 23 rated player, by the way. Wondered why he was, playing like that. Right. Polish defense. I guess this will kind of transpose back to the Osulivan Gambit if I play knight f6, because white is going to play pawn to e5. This is one thing I love about the Polish, by the way. Let me show you how this goes. So knight f6. The idea is to sacrifice the b5 pawn, by the way. If white takes, I'll be the happiest person because I'm ready to go pawn to c5 now. So pawn to c5, the idea is to go queen f5 check and win this bishop. There's no knight c3 in the near future due to knight takes. Uh-oh. Why did I say you should play from here? Yeah, so this is just a transposition of the Aleheim defense for those who are still behind. So I can still go queen a5 check since I'm attacking the light squad bishop. Yep. So this is what oh, wait a second. My opponent thinks they're going to get back their piece, but I'm still going to win their rook on h1 like this. I have bishop b7. This is one move most people don't see. So queen takes. That's why my opponent didn't take. See, if my opponent took the knight, I was going to play bishop b7 and there was no defending the g2 pawn and that. So that's what was going to happen. That's why my opponent played knight f3 after realizing that. But with knight f3, they can't even castle short because I have bishop s6 if you think about it. There's checkmate there. In case of queen takes, just a sneaky way of beating my opponent using the Osulivan Gambit. Next, I'm planning to go e6. So let's play this move first. Just in case of knight f3, I have queen takes. I also have queen check and knight takes and e6. So this is already game over. There's nothing my opponent can do. Yeah, like I can just give a check here. This is game over. So king d2, my opponent just lost their right to castle. Now the idea is for me to give a check. So g6 and then check. Yep, it's done. So this is the Osulivan Gambit, you guys, that arises from the Polish defense. And you need to learn this gambit. That's why you have all the reasons to remain a subscriber. And if you haven't subscribed already, do so. My opponent just resigned and lost 54 points. I gained 17. Now I'm 2250. Alright, let me play another game featuring the Polish defense. I hope things will go right. By the way, just a quick tutorial for you guys who don't know the Osulivan Gambit. You see, this can also arise from the Alekhine defense in the king's pawn game, where you go knight f6, and if pawn to e5, you go knight d5. And after pawn to d4, which happens to be the top played move in the Lichess database, that's when you go pawn to b5, sacrificing a free pawn. This creates an impression as if you are avoiding to be hit with pawn to c4. So what you're going to see most of your opponents doing is taking that free pawn, after which you can go pawn to c5. Can you see the similarities? In the game, this is where my opponent took on c5, and then I gave them a check. The most popular continuation here is knight c3, after which we take like that, attacking the queen and the bishop, everything. If pawn takes, you now take on b5 with the queen. This is how the main theory goes. Now during the game, my opponent played pawn takes, I gave them a check, and then they played pawn to c3. When I took the bishop, I was expecting them to take on d5 as well, blundering like this. This is the variation I was talking about. Most people play queen back to d4 in this situation. Now I go bishop takes g2 and win the rook on the next move. There are instances where I end up checkmating my opponents like this. Not even taking the rook. So this is called the Osulivan Gambit. Now you know that you can also play this in the queen's pawn game. As you saw, the game started as a d4 opening and I played the Polish, kind of an early pawn sacrifice if you think about it. After e4, the top played move, this is when you go knight f6, and after e5 you go knight d5. Same stuff. This is like we just sacrificed this pawn, that if pawn takes, we go c5 and then go queen f5, same stuff, same kind of death. Great. Now let me play another game featuring the Polish, hoping this time it'll be an instructional game, cause I don't want someone in the comment section to call me a weak rapid player. You see, people do ignore the fact that I play gambits most of the times, even in rapid chess, so that puts me on a hot seat. I kinda disadvantage myself to entertain you guys in the opening stage, so it is me who takes the risk by playing very extreme and unsound gambits. Anywho, let's go to the next game and see how things will go. Let's try the Polish defense. So with b5, I kinda stopped pawn to c4, and now this is kind of the accelerated London system, but it's not going to work against my Polish defense. Let's see. If I want, I can play pawn to d6. Let me just go bishop b7. Now my b5 pawn is under attack, so I need to defend it. So let's go f6. Knight f3. To stop knight f3, I can play pawn to d6 at this point. I'm also thinking of playing pawn to c5 or pawn to e6. But first, let's try knight f6. It's always good to start with the knights first, especially if you run out of ideas. Now I can play d6. And knight b d7. The idea is to go pawn to e5 at the right time. So g6 and bishop g7. Sure, white wants to play this move. Let's attack the dark square bishop. By doing so, I just paved the way for my dark square bishop. Now I can attack the light square bishop if I want, but the most important move is to go pawn to e5 first. So as you can see, there's no memorization here. I'm just playing, just want to take like this to oversimplify the position for now. So the position is now well simplified. Forgot to mention that I'm playing against a 2305 rated opponent. Now I can castle short if I want. I think I don't have any weaknesses at the moment, if you can see. Now pawn to c5 makes a lot of sense. I have an opportunity to go pawn to c4. What if I just take on c3, then play pawn to e4? Bishop takes. My queen is in the line of white's rook, so I must move it first before considering to play that. Besides, with knight f3, my opponent is now double attacking this pawn, so I need to defend it somehow. I guess the move to play is queen e7. If white plays a lazy move, I'll be glad to take. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Can't believe this guy is a 2305 rated player, yet they managed to somehow blunder a pawn like that. This knight also attacks the queen, so white has no time to capture my bishop. Now I can take the light square bishop. Looks like I'm just up a pawn for nothing. Next, I should play something like pawn to c4 and plant my bishop here. My pawn on e5 is doing a great job of stopping knight d4. So now bishop that. I'll even put, okay, so my opponent is not playing so well. You can see I'm now going to connect everything. I have a passed pawn. The knight is under attack. Now I can safely get rid of this knight if I want, because my bishop isn't doing anything, isn't doing much. At this point, I should start thinking of the middle game principles or the end game principles, activating my rooks, because you see one of the end game principles states rooks smile on or in open files. This is where my rook belongs. Now I want to play rook c2, but I'm afraid white is going to play queen f5. So I must do something about this first. Going in with my queen, stopping queen f5 in advance, so that rook c2 can have more power. This is a passed pawn. You see, when you have a positional advantage or a lead in development, start exchanging pieces, but not pawns. By pieces, we mean bigger pieces, the rooks, the bishops. We take. Did I just hang something? I have that move. At this point, I can even sacrifice my rook. I just feel like I can do this because this will win me some more pawns. In fact, give a check and take. Now who's winning? I guess I am the one. Yep, so my opponent just resigned. The Polish defense. Now let's transpose the game back to the Osulivan Gambit. Bishop takes, I'll be happy. Yep, now pawn to c5. Ready to capture the bishop for free on the next move if white allows. I think so. Check, knight c3, knight takes, queen takes. That's how this goes. I'm playing against a 2277 rated opponent, and you can see I just won a free piece right on move 5. Now you know my titles are not clickbait. I want I can take. No, I can't due to bishop that. Now I want to go bishop s6 on the next move. Yeah, bishop s6, kind of preventing white from castling. That move. Guess I can play. Guess this is awesome. And what else can I do? Probably attacking that rook. Let's do that. Not afraid of this, even though I am in some way. My opponent is playing actively as well, so I need to be very careful and take them serious. Can I take? Or can I advance? I think let me play pawn to. Wait a second. Do I have any other weaknesses? Nope. I was looking at moves like pawn to c4. Now I'm safe. So this is just a lazy gambit I play against d4 players if I just want to win games very fast. Not sure about this move. There is no any serious threat on my side. I think I can just take, and I can take if I want, right? Oh, okay, so if I take, my opponent is going to take with the bishop. I want to do this little trick. First, let's chase this queen away. Still the same problem. Can I give a check with my bishop? I don't know what to do next. Or maybe I attack the rook. I think white has no moves. I can start doing whatever I want. Give a check and capture the pawn on a2. They can't castle short due to my light squared bishop on a6. Yeah, let me just start grabbing free things. Oh, okay. Some checkmate threat here. I think I can just drop my knight. How about this move? Let's try this. Not sure about my previous move. That was a nice try, by the way. Knight g5. Stopped by knight d8. Oh, there we see another anything, but wait a second. What if I just give a check? My opponent is still stacked, and give another check, right? Give another check. Yeah, like let's do this and attack the bishop again. Maybe this is one move I did not see, but let's see what I can do. Give a check. Yeah, this is going to be checkmate. Yeah, this is checkmate, right? Awesome. Awesome stuff. My opponent started coming back slowly but sure. I just ensured to do a little tricks, and anywho, you now know the power of the Osulivan Gambit, you guys. Can I try one more game? I think so. If you want to improve your chess rating today, you can copy my opening strategy that I'll be demonstrating in a few moments. Welcome back to Casper Chess. And hey, don't just watch, that's not encouraging at all. To keep this channel alive, you can simply share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe. If you want to go through my study PGNs, such as the one I'm using in this study, you can visit my Patreon page. The link is in the comment section down below. Another default opponent. Let's go, the Osulivan Gambit, pawn to e5, knight that. Okay, so I've never seen this before. Nevertheless, I can still go bishop b7. At this point, I'm thinking of playing this move, but let's go pawn to c5. Let's try this. And then, can I go e5 or e6? If I can remember very well, I'm supposed to play pawn to b4 here, but let's go pawn to e6. I will play a5 if b4 is played. And if pawn to e5, I have bishop takes. So bishop g5, bishop e7. Trying to stay relevant in society. Let me just take the pawn. Damn it, I missed that, but wait a second, maybe there's something else I can do. No, I'm not going to lose any piece here. I have h6 and g5. Of course, my position is very shaky, but I mean, what do you expect when somebody plays a gambit? What do you expect? So the idea of a gambit is to give your opponent some advantage in the opening and then try to get it back in the middle game. Let's go queen a5. If queen takes, or maybe I was just going to take the queen. Let's attack. Attack the queen. I have knight takes. My opponent is doing everything possible to annoy me. I think let me just take. They're giving me more time to organize my pieces. If you think about it, they can't castle long. That would be too dangerous and deadly. I think my king will be very safe on the center. Should be careful of this. I have check. Okay, there is this little checkmate trick, you guys. If my opponent is not going to be careful, I'm going to do that and they will suffer the consequences. So d5, knight check. I can see the upcoming checkmate there. So let's try this. Have pawn takes. This is open check. So mate on h8. Yep, I feel like Hikaru All my opponent needs to do is to give up their queen, I guess. Yep, so this is check, and then check, then rook, checkmate, queen h7, rook takes. Awesome stuff! Endgame master! Alright. Oh, I'm playing against a 2441 rated opponent. Which gambit can I play? Let's go with... Oh, wait a second. Let's go with the Osulivan Gambit against this. Yeah, I guess we're going to get the Osulivan Gambit. E5, knight e5. Yep, take my pawn. It's free. And then pawn to c5. Let's win the free bishop. If white becomes careless. Yeah, still you can take on d4, sacrificing your knight. On the next move, I have queen f5 check, by the way. Oh, I didn't see this coming. It looks dubious, but effective, actually. What am I supposed to do here? I guess I'm supposed to... Wait a second. Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to play this move. Knight b4. The idea is to go knight c2 check. I forgot I'm playing against a 2441 rated opponent. Let me be serious. Yeah, now... Yeah, now I think I can play... Oh, wait a second. There's a sneaky move here. Pawn to e6, then queen a5. Yep, queen a5. Yeah, at the end of the day, we are just going to trade some pieces. So there's a sneaky move here to win the rook. It's all about traps, guys. So if knight f3 or knight e2, I'll win the rook. By the way, white can't take my knight due to bishop takes. Oh, wait a second, not bishop takes. Due to rook takes, I mean queen takes rook on a1. I'm confused. I mean, okay, so let's see. Okay, so my opponent figured that out. But I guess they didn't see this one. a6. So the rook is indirectly attacked and the light squad bishop is trapped. I remember covering these things last year, you guys. So on this channel, I only play my openings if you haven't figured that out. Oh, this is a brilliant move, but I guess I can now go check. Look at this, guys, look. And then take this. The knight is free, the bishop is free. Let's take that. The pawn is free. This guy is a 2441 rated player, you guys, not a weak player. So let's do this. Another free pawn, I guess. Free pawn. So we take that. There's also this. I'm just grabbing free pawns, you guys. So if you want to become a pawn star, I mean PAWN, subscribe to this channel and you will start grabbing free pawns like myself. So what am I going to do next? Oh, damn. I want to oversimplify this. So let's cast a shot first. It's always important to put your king to safety. I wanted to pin the knight, but I noticed it was going to be a 1-0 move. I'm supposed to develop my light squad bishop, then do that. Maybe at this point I can pin the knight now and develop my bishop. So let's do this. The idea is to give a simple check or just go bishop d5. Yeah, so we go bishop d5. The idea is to take and give a check. Now I can take. This is check for those who don't know. Then I can give a check. I have this check. I have pawn to d5. Let's go d5. d5. Oh, no, not d5. Yeah, d5. I should have taken. But anyway, I can still take. Let's do that. Yeah, so I just won this game against a 24-41 rated opponent. Okay, again, rematch against the same guy. Let's go, the Osulivan Gambit. Once again, this guy didn't believe it. Take that pawn for free. Or maybe this time you are not going to. Yep, I thought so. Coward. I'm just trash talking, don't take offense. Pawn takes, I have queen f5 check again. I'm going to win the bishop for free. Let's take. Never seen this before, but let's go bishop c5. The idea is still to take. Okay, my opponent did everything right to stay out of trouble. Okay, now I can take this. Yep, I can take. And then, what else can I do with my teeth? I guess knight f4. It just looks awesome. For what I can take, right? No, I can't. Nope. You know what? Let's try this. It is time for me to be crazy. I want to open up the g file for my king's rook and take on g2. Yep. So I just achieved that. I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, I'm just improvising by now. But let's do this. Okay, I see the idea. My opponent wants to play that move, but what else can I do? That's a brilliant idea, actually. Maybe I just develop my queen. Do I have d5? I think so. I'm losing everything, but it is what it is. This is what I signed up for. So the idea is to shift my knight that side. Oh, this guy is making very good moves. Let's do this so that we do not run into another check. Oh, that hurts, but I can do something about this, I guess. Protected by my rook. What's going to happen if I play this move? My opponent is going to give me a check. Is this checkmate? My opponent just blundered. I lost this game, technically speaking, but I mean, now I guess you have some hope, you guys. Even 2400s do blunder like this. I mean, the guy just became too overzealous and I took advantage of that. Okay, technically speaking, I lost this game and I won't take credit for it. Let's try another game. Hope to see e4. If pawn to d4, I can still take him back to the Alekhines trap. Anyway, it's knight to f6. If e5, I have knight d5. Now the most played move here is d4, not c4, but I have b5. That's the gambit, you guys. It's called the Osulivan Gambit. I'm preparing to go pawn to c5 next if bishop takes b5. Okay, so that's a gambit, you guys. Let's see what white is going to do. Okay, bishop takes now c5. The plan is to go queen a5, check, and win the light squared bishop, since my knight on d4 is covering the c3 square. So bishop c4 attacking my knight. I guess I still have to take, I still need to take on d4 with my c pawn, right? Yep. So if bishop takes, I'll go queen a5, check, and win the light squared bishop. Yep. Now queen a5, Kaspar's signature move. So white has to attend to this check, letting me win his light squared bishop. I mean, he just captured my free knight, except there's no such a thing as a free lunch in this economic nation of eyeballs and antennas and elbows. Okay, pawn to c3, pawn to c3. Okay, let's take the bishop, eyeballing the g2 pawn. Okay, knight to f3. Can I go bishop a6, or maybe bishop b7, or maybe I go queen d4, sorry, queen e4, check. I think I can remember something here. It's been long, you guys. It's normal to forget some of these cheap traps. So I have queen a6, but that will only be played after I play queen e4 check. But queen e4 check again will lead to a line where we exchange queens. I guess that's the only way to go. Yep, queen e4 check. Okay, so if queen e2, I'll simply take that queen. I don't mind playing without queens in this gambit. Why? Because I'm the one who's playing a gambit, okay? And yeah, queen takes, check, and after king takes, I'll take the c3 pawn, and I have some more open lines. Normally, when we are playing gambits, you guys, we don't want to exchange queens very fast, but in this line, I guess I'm free to do that because I have many open lines. Knight c6 first. I have pawn to e6, bishop c5 coming next. So that queen trade was okay. Besides, we have equal number of pawns. Knight d4 leaves the e5 pawn hanging, I guess. Yep. White shouldn't have played that move. Okay, pawn to b3. I guess I have rook c8 attacking the knight on c3. Yep. Let's see what white is going to do here. Okay, bishop b2. I still have knight to d3. But, I mean, knight to d3 supported by my bishop on a6. Let me go pawn to e6, I think, yeah. Preparing to go bishop c5, pinning the knight to the king. If pawn to f4, I have knight d3 attacking the dark squared bishop. So I'm not worried about that. And I also have f5, f4. Oh, rook ac1. Can I go bishop c5 here? Or knight d3, I think, attacking the rook and the bishop. That's not easy to solve. My knight is well protected by my light squared bishop on a6. What is white going to do here? Let's see. Okay. Oh, knight cb5. Can I take the rook on c1 or the bishop, which is hanging? The problem is if I take the dark squared bishop, white has this in between move, knight c7 check. So let me just take the rook. Yep. If rook takes, I'll take with my other rook. So once again, this is called the Osulivan Gambit, you guys. Okay, so bishop takes. I think I have plenty of moves here. Pawn to e5 is one of them, but can I go bishop c5, pinning the knight? I think bishop c5 makes no sense. e5. Bishop c5 will come later. By the way, pawn to e5 instantly wins one of the knights. Why did I even want to play bishop c5? Why am I this bad at chess? Oh, knight takes a7. Did I make something wrong there? Maybe... Oh, okay, so the knight is attacking my rook, but that's the importance of knowing in between moves. I can play e takes d4, okay? The game is right here, so e takes d4 is an in-between move. That will come with a check. So white won't have time to capture my rook first. They have to attend to this check. Yeah, so king takes. Now I can rescue my rook, because the game has now shifted to the queen side, okay? This square right here. So, oh, wait a second, you guys. I have bishop c5 check, winning the knight on a7. I think white should resign now. Oh, my opponent is a diehard for nothing. Let me just take this knight. And next, I have plenty of moves. I'm planning to go pawn to f6, bishop b7 check, and maybe rook c6 will be checkmate. I don't know. So let's go f6. Yep, f6. If rook e1 check, I can go king d8 or probably go home. King d8 I think is better than going home. If bishop e7 check, I have king c7 and king b7 maybe. Oh, king b8, not king b7. Yeah. If bishop e7 check, I have king c7 and king b8. What is that? Anyways, check. Bishop b7 check. I think that'll be checkmate after king d6 and bishop b8 checkmate, okay? Cause all these highlighted squares in red are covered by my pieces, so bishop b8 will be checkmate. Yeah, he better resign. And that's all for today, you guys. Let me know which episode you liked the most in the comment section down below. And if at all you would love to see more of these kinds of content where I compile my favorite videos in one collection, of course, to make it easier for you guys, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.